How I started over at 21 years old, how I got out of it, how I stood my grounds, and how I got my power back. I want to talk about that today because in today's world, we need to talk about that. We have a lot of people out here, a lot of individuals who are going through it, and this video is to rather encourage you, because if I can do it, you too can do it. And you're probably going to say, girl, at 21 years old, you should be starting your life. That's where your life begins. And yes, I do agree with you. But when you're on your own at age 17, 18, baby, there was more challenging along the way. So let me just share that with you today. So I first would love to say that I thank God for my parents. I grew up in a very respectable home. It was a religious home. My upbringing was, I couldn't ask for any better. However, my parents were very strict. As a result of that, when you become rebellious, so to speak, I felt like at the time, 17, 18, I was working a little part-time job, getting out of high school and things of that nature. I just wanted to do my thing. And so, at the time when your parents are raised from the Caribbean, we all know that these parents are strict. Yes. So at the time, my father, he was a deacon or minister at the time. I don't remember. And so I used to go to church Sunday morning and night, Monday prayer meeting, Wednesday Bible study, Friday youth service, and the list goes on. So we couldn't wear any jewelry or any earrings rather. I don't know about the chain or stuff, but I know I couldn't wear any earrings at the time. I think my dad was trying to have us to wear skirts all the time because, with the apostolic faith, they have to go by the religions, the rule of the church and things of that nature. So I get it. But at the time I was very rebellious. I'm like, I'm about to be an adult. We're not going to do this. So as a result, I had to go. So I ended up had to go live with my aunt, and my aunt was not home at the time, but I was living with my cousin. Like, I had a little bit more freedom, but I felt like if my parent was not that strict on me, I felt like some of what I've gone through would have been reversed or probably wouldn't have happened. But I will say I have to be accountable. I'm taking accountability for what has happened to me over the years because it was a choice. That was my choice. So I'm not going to come on camera to bash my parents or anything of that nature. I just want to share with you how I had to start over, some choices that I made that impacted my life, and there's some of it that I couldn't take back. And so this video is very important for those who are, maybe 17, 18, or maybe you're rushing the process of leaving your parents' home. There are things that I want to talk to you about. There are things I want you to consider, because sometimes, if you really think about it and don't rush the process, then you can have certain benefits in terms of your lifestyle and certain achieving certain things, so to speak. So I did take accountability for all that has happened to me. At age 17, 18, I started college and I dropped out of college. I dropped out of college because my mindset at the time was more about hanging out with friends and wanted to experience some things, because like I said, I didn't know the outside part of it because my parents were so strict. And I felt like that was one factor of it that caused me to rush things a little quickly, which I said to myself when I had my own kids, there's a lot of things that I was going to change. I won't replicate their protocols or their rules rather. There's some rules that I picked up and transferred to my kids, but like all that strictness, I wasn't going to do that. I wanted to have an open communication with my children. And I felt with my parents, I didn't have that too much. I would say maybe like a 70-30 with my kids. I have full communication with them, whereas, there's certain things I want them to have a respectable voice. I won't tell them, what they can and cannot say. to a certain extent, because I raised them to be respectful and to use their voice, but not in a disrespectful way. At age 20, I got pregnant at the time, and at 21 years old, a lot of things changed in my household. At the time, I was living with my aunt, and so my aunt's husband had died, and when he died, a lot of things shifted, and as a result of that, things weren't working out for me, and I had to move, and where I moved to was not a great place. I won't put too much information out here because at the same time, it's not something I'm proud of. But my living condition was not good at the time. However, I had my daughter. I had to do what I had to do. At the time, I did seek some assistance because I dropped out of college. I didn't have all that I wanted with my life. And so I decided to start over. Starting over meant that I had to go back to college. I didn't go back right away because at the same time, I wanted something quick. So what this means, if I should go to college and me having a baby at the time, I need to get a job instantly. I don't want to work at Popeyes nor KFC, because I've done that. I was about 16 years old when I worked at Popeyes and Burger Kings or those fast food restaurants. So I did not want to repeat those. If anything, I wanted to make improvement. And you're probably going to say, well, you should have did what you had to do. Yes, I get it, but I didn't want to. To make a long story short, I decided to pursue my medical assistant certification. And so I went into school for I believe it was about 7 to 8 months. I did had some assistance at the time with childcare. The city had helped me out with childcare, and as a result of that, I was able to go back to school for 7 to 8 months, and I got my medical assistant certification. When I got my medical assistant certification, that helped me a lot because it did change my situation. And what that means, I was able to move out of my living condition very quickly after 8 months. So it was like a short-term sacrifice for a long-term goal. And a lot of times we have to do that. See, we live in a world right now where it's all about instant gratification, where we always want things to happen now. But sometimes you have to take a step back to jump 2 steps forward. And what this means, sometimes you can't go to college right away. But what if you go do some type of trade-in or some certification? I remember for me, I didn't have like my family to help me at the time because, like I said, I decided to leave my parents' home at a young age. And so me being by my aunt and things shift around, I had to move quickly. And at the time I had a baby, right? You're probably going to say, then where was my boyfriend? That did not work out for me either. So I had to start over. And that's what I'm telling you. I started over at age 21. It wasn't easy. Right on my face. Hit rock bottom. Young girl. But guess what? That was a lesson for me. And so if you're watching this video, I'm not sure who is watching it, but sometimes we have to learn to slow down a bit, right? Because sometimes we want to get out of our parents' home. We want to rush the process because of peer pressure. The friends that we see out there, they're probably doing this, they're doing that, and you too want to do it. I had those moments myself. I did those things, and what happened to me, it caused me to get pregnant very quickly. It caused me to drop out of college quickly, and it caused me to not have anything going for me at the time. Like 18 years old, I should have been in college, but that was not it. So I had to drop college, go do my medical assistant. Once I had my certification, I ended up finding some internship at a hospital, and boom, that was my access point. So I got a job in the correction working as a medical assistant, and that went well for me for quite some time. That quickly shift me into a better environment. I got my apartment at the time. I ended up having a car. I know at the car, I didn't purchase the car. My baby daddy at the time had purchased that car for me. So at the time, things didn't work out, but a couple years later, maybe a year or two rather, then I got a car and I was able to move around. But at the time, it was just train and bus, me and my daughter, from work to school to daycare. And that's what it was. Now, how I was able to improve myself, I decided to make a short-term sacrifice for long-term goals, meaning that go and do some trade, which was the medical assistant. And so for you, you may have gone through some things on your own. You have to think quickly and make a move, and that's exactly what I did. How did I stood my grounds? Well, at the end of the day, no one told me to go have a baby, so I had to be accountable and I had to stick with it. And I decided that since I had my daughter, I have to make some improvement and work around my daughter's schedule to make things work for both of us at the time, because that's what it was. This is reality. And let me tell you something, it wasn't easy. I can laugh now, but back then it wasn't anything to laugh about, because life was hard, and it was because of a choice that I made due to, my parents being strict on me. I didn't want to, live under those rules anymore. And as a result, I decided to take my own path. And this is what my own path gave me, the end result of having a child. Now, I'm not saying it's bad to have a child. I'm not saying that, because I have 4 children right now. Thank God. I am blessed, rich in love. I may not be rich with riches, but I'm rich in love, and I'm so happy. If you ask me if I would do it again, yes, I would, but not in that circumstance. My method of doing it would be a different way as it relates to my first child. Thank God my situation is much better, and I thank God every day for that, to the point that I have a degree in IT and striving to my full potential in my other projects and side business. So I thank God for that. The reason for connecting with you today, to tell you why I started over at age 21 and how I was able to get back up, stood my grounds, and take my power back. My power back was going to school and, going back to college and get a degree. Although I'm still not where I would like to be as it relates to my career, I'm still happy about the choice in terms of going back to school to earn a degree. I mean, a lot of people may say a degree ain't nothing, which is true to some point, but it means something if you build something around it. And that's exactly what I did. When I talked about taking my power back, there are a lot of things where I reflect back on how I was raised and my upbringing. And I say to myself that when I have my own children, there's a lot of things that I would do and won't do. I won't be as strict on them as my parent did at the time, because I felt like being strict on me caused me to have this subconscious mind, this mindset of rebelliousness, and want to go out there and want to test the water, that type of thing. For my kids, I wanted to let them know what was out there and the reason why they shouldn't do it. Rather, I wanted to educate my children about the potential of what can happen. See, I didn't have that with my parents. My parents was not explaining to me. They were not communicating with me enough to let me know. Rather, it was more like not telling me what was going on. If I had knew that, certain things would have caught me out there, then I'd probably take a step back and, relax. But I said to myself, when I have my own children, I want to open that communication with my children. I want to tell them what are the potential of what is out there. Also, if anything should happen, I want them to come to me first, not friends, not family. I want them to speak to me first. And thank God, I must say, I work towards that. And that is my power right there, because I have opened that line of communication with my children from a day-to-day basic. If anything goes on in school, when they go to school daily, I'm calling, I'm asking, how was school today? What did you learn? Show me what you learned. Did anything goes bad today? How did you deal with it? Those type of things. Those things are power to me, because nothing like communication. And that is what this world is having trouble with today as we speak. Communication seems to be a big problem between families and friends, and even in the workspace, the communication. And that is something that I try to improve over time. And so as it relates to my children, I make sure that I open that communication with them so that we can communicate to the point where I need to know what is going on. You know, how can I help you to fix it rather? You know, I felt like there's a lot of things that I've gone through, and I wanted to make sure I was able to correct it. Now, I'm not going to say I'm the best parent. I'm not going to say my children are the best children. However, I'm so self-fulfilled of what is happening now between me and them, because my daughter is now 18 years old, and up until this day, she comes to me for every little thing. So I'm just happy that I've learned some things. And this video is to encourage you that if you live with your parents, and if your parents is not all that strict, and you know, even if they're strict, try to see if you can change that. Speak to them about how you're feeling. Open up that line of communication, you know, and let them know how you're feeling so they can change it, rather than leaving your parent home to live with friends or family, and you know, it causing you to live a fast, rapid life, and before you know it, you're going through problems. Don't be like what I've gone through. And I'm hoping you take something from this video. I would love to hear your thoughts on this video. Be sure to give this video a thumbs up, and also to subscribe if you're brand new to this channel. Until then, we'll see you around. Thank you for watching. Be blessed.